All right, welcome my friends. Today I've got a very requested video. I'm going to be showing you how to set up your order flow templates within TradingView. So sit back and enjoy. This is TradingView Order Flow by Magus. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to set up your templates just like mine. I'm going to break down all the indicators that I recommend you use and cover all of the settings. So we're going to start off today with a completely blank template, and by the end of this video, we're going to have it looking like this one. All right, so starting off, everybody's got an empty chart. We're going to go ahead and run through the indicators that I use to build out my template one by one. So let's go ahead and start off with the most important. It's going to be the bedrock of all of order flow trading. That's going to be volume. So I use a custom volume indicator. Most of my indicators are going to be custom because I like the added features and added extra detail that I get from them. All of these indicators, you can find a public version of them. They're just going to not have all the extra features that I've come to use over the years. So with volume, most of the time you guys are going to be starting off with standardized volume, and that's fine, but I would suggest most of you move in the direction of relative volume, which is commonly abbreviated as RVol. It's just going to be a better version of volume because it's smoothed out by a moving average. Most of these platforms like TradingView aren't really going to have perfect order flow data, so smoothing it out with the moving average will make it a little bit more reliable. After relative volume, I suggest most of you guys go ahead and start to experiment with things like delta or comparing buy/sell volume. Buy/sell volume is the one that I have come to use the most over the years. Personally have found that buy against sell volume on TradingView is the most reliable and gives the most useful information. I strongly recommend that traders do not use CVD or cumulative volume delta on TradingView. I think the data is terrible. Okay, next we're going to cover volume profile. In order to make this template, I use two different types of volume profile. I use the visible range and I use the fixed time-based profile. So first, let's go ahead and cover the visible range. Visible range is going to be a default to TradingView indicator. You can just come over here and type in visible range or VRVP, and it will come up right away. When you load this up the first time around, it's going to look pretty ugly. So let's go into the settings. First thing that you're going to want to do is always increase the row size. Default row size is going to be a lot lower. And when we compare this, a 50 tick against a 150 tick, look how much more information we're getting. It's a lot more granular. Next from there, I normally turn everything off. So I don't really care about the value area high, low, point of control, extending any of these things. I make all the volume the same color. All I'm using this for is identifying high volume and low volume nodes. Okay, the next piece of this indicator is loading up the exact same indicator, but instead of having it set to volume, having it set to delta. So let's go ahead and turn that on. That will look like this one right here. So this indicator will show us the difference between buy and sell volume at different price ticks. This is really useful for confluence with the volume profile to see who is buying and who's selling at which points. So this will be called a delta profile. In order to get the delta profile set up, you're going to open up your settings on any volume profile, and you're going to go to the input section. Instead of having volume set to total or buy/sell volume, you want to set it to delta, and this will start to compare the difference in buy and sell volume. Generally speaking, with any sort of volume profile, you want to be increasing the row size always as a general rule of thumb. Okay, so that covers the visible range volume profile and then the visible range delta profile. Next, we have the periodic profile, or this is going to be your standard time-based profile. So on TradingView, they're going to call it the PVP because it's periodic volume profile. That's how they've chosen to label the time-based profiles. So if we were to go into the PVP section, let's go ahead and run through some of the settings that I use. So first and foremost, I always increase the row size from the default. I don't really care about having the difference between buy and sell volume personally. I don't even have the value area high and lows highlighted right now. That is personal preference. A lot of you guys are probably going to be really better off having these highlighted. One of the most important things on the periodic volume profile is going to be extending the POCs out to the right. What this is going to do is highlight the naked point of controls so that you can target them for trades. Okay, so next we have the VWOP, or the volume weighted average price. This is without a doubt my favorite indicator. So in order to get this one set up, I'm going to show you the default one as well as my own personal one. So just come over here to the indicator section and type in VWOP. From there, you're going to scroll down, look for the volume weighted average price. Go ahead and load that up for you. It's going to default to a session base, which is going to be essentially just a daily for you guys. Just going to go ahead and move that to a weekly just so it's a little bit larger. It's going to give you the option to have different bands. These are going to be your standard deviations, essentially the value area high and value area low from the VWOP itself. Let's just go ahead and come into the section for the style. A few different things I would maybe mess around with would be like, changing it from a line to a dot or a star. I really like that from a visual preference. I hate background fills for the most part. And yeah, it really comes down to personal preference for how many colors you're going to be using. But what I will say is, generally speaking, adding in more bands is going to be more preferable in my opinion. Okay, so I just showed you the default TradingView VWOP. Let's go ahead and show you the custom one that I use now. So I've been using this for a long time now. It's the Paragon Scalp VWOP. We have 3 different versions versions of this indicator that we use, the lower time frame version. So I'll just pull up some of the settings, show you some of the options. Essentially, all this is going to be a daily and a weekly VWOP, and then we have a few different level markers and just quality of life indicators woven into this. We've used this one for a long time now, and definitely my favorite VWOP indicator that we've ever made. I normally just operate off of standard deviation 1 and 2 and don't go too far beyond that, because I really just view the standard deviations as just value area high, value area low for the range that we are developing. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the VWOP stuff. It's all pretty straightforward. We're mostly just covering standard time-based stuff here, but I would strongly recommend to use anchored VWOPs in the setup as well. Okay, next we're going to be covering open interest. This is a pretty essential tool for me. Helps me to identify when other traders are opening and closing positions. From there, I can gauge their intent and get a better idea of if they are making a mistake or if they are more of an informed trader. So with open interest, it is built into TradingView now, so you can just come over here and type in open interest. What I will say though is that, you know, the default isn't perfect, so we did go ahead and make our own that has extra features. Essentially, just allows us to have more control over what tickers are included in this, and it allows us to highlight when there's large changes and whatnot. So essentially, all this indicator is used for is just determining when positions are closed or open. For example, we can clearly see a good amount of longs were just closed over here, a short was opened here, a short was closed here, right? It just helps me identify when positions are being opened and closed. This is not something that TradingView always had. I think they added this somewhere around 2022, so it's incredible to have open interest data within the TradingView interface nowadays. So definitely a huge quality of life upgrade for us TV users. The final indicator that we're going to be covering today is going to be the spreads indicator. This indicator is used to compare different markets, generally speaking, to compare perpetual markets against spot markets. Generally speaking, we're going to be comparing perps against spot to see who's leading and who's lagging. This tool will give us a little bit of context as to who's buying and maybe get a little bit of a read around strength or weakness within the market. There's probably not a great default TradingView indicator for this. That's why we made our own. So I'm mostly using this to just get a little bit of context around who's buying and who's selling in combination with the other tools. But the tools I went over earlier in this video for sure are going to be the most important. Okay, everything should be more clear now. You should be more comfortable with this template that you're seeing me post all the time. I know that when you look at this at first, it seems overwhelming, but now that we've broken down every individual piece, you should know that it's really not that crazy, not that complicated. It's all pretty straightforward stuff. This template that I use for my intraday trading on Bitcoin primarily, but I also use it on altcoins. This is my most valuable template that I've ever made because it just is so versatile and usable in so many different instances. And I'm really thankful that I'm able to have a template like this within TradingView, because for a long time, having tools like this was just not even possible. So we've really come a long way, and I'm appreciative for that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you learned something, definitely drop a like and make sure you're subscribed. If you want to expedite your learning curve, check out the Paragon group in the link below.